Your second two. We are now live.
Hey everybody, welcome to Hey Mando. I'm Kyle Souza, and with me, as always, is
Two speed Brian Ray.
Two Speed. That's right, Ryan Two Speed Ray, and that has to do with what speed he listens to things at, in case anybody was wondering. And we are talking about The Mandalorian, specifically what is possibly the best episode of the entire series.
Oh God, here we go. It's starting already.
The Believer.
It's starting already. It's starting already. Like, how do we do this show? I know when I watch the show, whatever I think, you're going to think the opposite. I just know it now.
Yeah.
Given. If I hate it, you love it. If you love it, I hate it. Like it's just whatever I think, you're going to think the opposite, without doubt, without good reason either. That's what's frustrating.
Okay, without good reason. Well, I mean, we both liked the last episode. I didn't love it. I think you liked it more.
Like when the ship got blown up. Oh, hey, spoiler alert for anything in the world ever. There it is.
All the spoilers, all the alerts.
Yes. So you thought this was the best episode of the series?
I said possibly the best episode of the series. We haven't seen next week's yet. No, it's
or next season's
or next season. That's right. No, I thought it was a great episode. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, let me qualify it like this. If you're talking about the episode, if this was episode 2, 3 of the season, fantastic. Where it goes in the story, it was a waste of a build-up. It's like we like all of the stuff that they did could have been done in half the time. This is the penultimate episode, and we go on this goose chase. And listen, I want to talk about the goose chase because I think there's some good Star Wars morality stuff in there. But there was nothing special to make this the penultimate episode. Like, that's the problem I had with it. If it was the second episode of the season, it's like, cool, whatever. We found Moff Gideon's location. You could just change that to found whatever you're trying to find, like they do for every little stupid thing they do. But this episode was supposed to set us up for something. Last episode, I thought, did. His ship's destroyed. Is Boba Fett good? Is he bad? What's happened to Grogu? This episode's just like, hey, let's go find this face scanning technology.
No, this episode was great. I mean, it's character building, right? You're learning more about Mando and about the world that he lives in and his beliefs. You see his beliefs get challenged. You see some compromising there. It's growth of the character, some great action sequences, some good references with Operation Cinder there, some historical references. Bill Burr, I thought it was the perfect role for Bill Burr. I was not sold on him the first time we saw Mayfeld, but this time I was like, nope, Bill Burr was the right choice.
Okay, again, if this is episode 1, 2, or 3 of the season, sure. This is not the time to grow the characters. Mayfield, okay.
You're the one always saying people change. People change. We're seeing him change.
Okay, I hate you so bad. Don't use my words against me. Don't use my words against me. So, from beginning to end, this is, on some level, Mayfield's thoughts on the galactic universe as we understand it, right? Uh-huh. So he's in jail under the Republicans. The Republicans got him. The Democrats are busting him out. No,
I know it.
He's in jail under the Republic. The Republic bust him out. Then he says, "Oh, we're going to get the Empire." It's like, whatever. The Empire sucks too. The Republic sucks. They all suck. By the end of it, he kills some Imperials and he's free on a planet where there's no one left because they've killed everyone.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they've killed everyone, but it's like, what's he gonna do? Because there were other people, like they went through a little village, but it's like, what's he gonna do on this planet full of? Are these the only Imperials? Were they all inside the base?
Right.
Yeah. There's a few. I assume there's some still back at the mine.
Yeah, I would assume. Yeah, but you know, I mean, the episode was really just showing, and I appreciate that, and talk about where I think Star Wars was really good in a minute, but I don't need this episode right here in the series. somewhere else, maybe, but right here, I just don't understand what's the importance of it.
I liked it.
It's okay. Are you okay? Let's say it's only because of its location that I have a problem with it.
Right. Yeah, its location in the series order. But no, I thought it was great that they've built so much into him with the helmet and everything. And then earlier in season 2, Bo-Katan starts challenging him with whether or not Mandalorians are able to take their helmets off. Now, Boba Fett has come into play. He wasn't wearing any armor to start with, like any armor at all, and he's a legit Mandalorian, and so his view on what a Mandalorian is, because Din wasn't born into the culture, right? He was a foundling, so he was someplace else, and they found him and rescued him and brought him into the culture around the age of 13 or 14 is when he started his or got his armor, right, and started wearing the mask. And so it couldn't have been too long before that they found him. Of course, unless you're constantly resizing helmets, you do need to reach a certain size.
So are we gonna go through the episode in chronological order, or are we gonna hop around? Because I have a lot of thoughts. I don't know how you want to handle this.
No, let's try chronological order.
Okay.
All right, so we'll be able to get through the first little bit probably pretty quickly. So I thought, the wreckage planet was cool. He's working in a prison camp. Yeah, that's nice. That's fun.
I'm glad they didn't take 40 minutes to bust him out of jail.
Yes, me, because that's what I thought the whole episode was going to be. I thought it was going to be a prison break episode, and then they were going to do something next episode.
Right.
I think this was the second time that we got to see that giant salvage machine that looks like bottom half an AT-AT Walker, top half the crane toy on Barbie legs from Sid's bedroom in Toy Story. Star Wars equivalent of that. Okay, so Mayfeld, right? He says that he needs an internal terminal to get the location of Moff Gideon's ship.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know where they could have found one 2 episodes ago. Inside of that Imperial base on Navarro that received transmissions from Moff Gideon and sent transmissions to Moff Gideon that they conveniently blew up.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys, I know the child hadn't been taken at that point, but maybe plan ahead and not blow up the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So that's my first criticism.
Yeah. This is one of those things that's always kind of weird to me. I don't really care. It's like, it's like with Finn in episode 7. He's like, oh yeah, Starkiller Base. I know everything about it. The Empire is a big place full of a lot of bases and stuff. And so I'm fine with kind of the, every Imperial knows what to do stuff. But it is kind of weird. It's like, if it's that easy to know where these things are at, then, you really didn't need him in the end. And that's the thing about it. But go ahead.
Yeah, that was very annoying. I will admit that. Let's see. So, again, Bill Burr, perfect for this role.
Perfect. Played it well.
Yeah. Boba Fett got a paint job. And either loosened up the armor.
Williams, or did you see who was sponsoring the paint on this?
I did not see a sponsored by. It looked weird to me though, seeing it solid. Because even when we see him in Empire Strikes Back, like it's scratched up.
Yeah.
So when you see it looking like nice and new, it's kind of like that's not what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So if you ever watch baseball, the baseball players, they'll get like a new hat and they'll go take it in the dugout before the game. They'll kick it, step on it, they'll spit on it, rub dust on it, just so it looks game worn before they bring it out. Bubba's like, listen, I ain't had new armor in like 40 years. I'm gonna go spray paint this down, and it's gonna look fresh and clean. Like I mean,
it's not even new armor. It's his old armor.
I know, but it looks
somebody else's.
Yeah, so this looks good, but he didn't
Still
want
got the dent. Still has the dent.
Still had the dent. I saw that. Didn't buff that baby out.
No, doesn't have the right tools. Working Beskar is hard. Got to have the right foundry and everything.
He should have taken off a little part of Mando's sphere and then melted that down, and then
so something, some Bondo, something. Just fill it in, just to make it smooth.
Flex seal. Gotta
you
be
go,
a period.
reflective.
Yeah.
I'm just saying something to make it look round.
Yeah, I agree.
Because also that has to be uncomfortable on the inside to just have that divot there.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, let's see. Oh, so they go to Morak, right? Or they're on the way to Morak. They see they're mining rhydonium from his surface scan that happened way too far away from the planet, in my opinion. And they mentioned that rhydonium is both volatile and explosive, which seems redundant and repetitive to me.
Carry on.
For everybody unawares, rhydonium though is a fuel. It's a fuel used by starships. It makes a couple appearances in Rebels in particular. Let's see. Oh, I like the Boba Fett line where he said, "Let's just say they might recognize my face," right? But I was thinking they'd have to be like some older Imperial officers to be able to recognize them. Would be my thought.
Can we just pause real quick here on this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is so. I'm fine with the. I'm fine with the. Hey, everyone knows where every Imperial outpost station thing, Bob terminal is. Okay, I'm kind of cool with that. I'm not cool with everyone in the Empire knows everyone's face. Like that's just not. That dog just don't hunt.
Well, he did say they. Let's just say they might recognize my face. All right, it's got to be an older one, and I don't think every Imperial knows every base, but Miggs was an Imperial sharpshooter, right? He wasn't just a run-of-the-mill stormtrooper. That's how he introduced himself. I'm not a stormtrooper. So he was like special ops. So he knows about this Morak base. They could have flown past 30 other bases on the way to Morak just because that's the one he knew about. When
No,
I was like,
yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine with So I'm saying I'm fine
yeah.
with that. But okay, so
But yeah, the idea that somebody would recognize an aged clone's face when he is probably younger than what we see for Captain Rex and the crew in Rebels when they're brought back in. Spoiler alert on Rebels. So I think though that he didn't want to do it. One, I'm not sure how invested he is in this whole thing. Anyways, two, the idea was for Mayfeld to show his face. So why would they even see Fett's face if he always has the helmet on? Now, it turns out he may have had to have taken it off. I've got issues with that whole situation. I'm sure you do too. So we'll harp on that together.
Yay.
But it would have to be an older an older officer that was around at the end of the Old Republic, beginning of the Empire, to recognize his face.
But how big is the Galactic Empire's army, you think?
Oh, millions.
That's my point.
People.
Right. Let's see if I can find it. How big Imperial Army I know the clone army was 3 million. I don't know how big the Imperial. So that's all I'm saying is that this is after episode 6. At the peak, it's millions of people. A lot of them have died, and this is fractions, factions and fractions, and so it's not exactly even what it was before. So, yeah. Anyways, so carry on. So again, I'm fine with you. You could be right, very much that they passed a bunch of planets to find this one that had the same thing. I'm cool with all that. It's just hard to be like, hey, the Imperials know your face, especially when you can't take off your stupid bucket without getting slapped around until this episode anywhere else in Star Wars. And so, how often were the officers and the troopers, hanging out and looking each other's face? I don't know, but
it was a nice reminder that he was a clone, though, because the first thing I thought when he said that was like, hold on, he never took his helmet off in Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. How would they? Oh, yeah, that's why they would know his face from the 3 million copies of his father that they made that he was also a copy of. So it did take me a second. So I think it was just a callback to the fact that he's a clone.
Yeah.
We saw some possible cloning tubes. Um, they're really into clones in
Yeah.
Star Wars Episode 9, or at least one in particular, two in
Yeah.
particular.
I was. Yeah. I'm more frustrated with. Listen, Boba, I think, is a self-serving bad guy. I don't think he's a good guy, so he has to prove me wrong. So I think
Yeah.
he's just going to say whatever.
I don't
So
want him to be a good guy necessarily. Like, I'm not saying that I want him to be evil, but just an amoral character who's out for himself, kind of a true neutral type
you
character.
want him to be what he was in 5 and 6.
Yeah, where hey, he's here to make a buck. If they're paying, I'm working for them. If they're paying, I'm working for them. I'm going to do my thing. Don't cross me.
Right.
He's not very altruistic. He's not like going and punching babies in the face. Like he's not just evil there.
He's not Anakin Skywalker. Okay.
You know, that's the evilest thing that could come to mind right that moment.
Yeah, he's not Anakin Skywalker. I agree. He's not that
Right,
guy.
he's not.
Yeah.
He's not like Anakin Skywalker, who everybody loves and cheers for, because he's coming back in Obi-Wan. Spoiler alert for something that hasn't happened yet.
Yes.
All right.
So yeah, I'm gonna say yeah. So Boba's saying that it's like whatever. I don't trust anything he says. He has to prove that he is actually a good guy. Mig saying it, it's like, bro, come on. And then it proves out later on that the guy doesn't know who he is. So like,
right.
It was a pointless gesture.
That was the closest he could get to someone who could know who he was realistically. I thought that Cara Dune punching those guys right in the helmet, that had to hurt. Every time I saw that in Clone Wars and Rebels, characters punching the troopers in the helmet, I'm like, you don't have brass knuckles or anything.
Yeah.
It's a good thing she didn't, though, because that armor did not hold up well. I will say Din looks smaller in the trooper armor than in his Mando armor. Like
okay.
Frame.
I was glad to see, I thought they set this up well, when the pirates are attacking him and he puts up his arms to block and they like crush his arms. Like, he didn't, I don't know if he goes, ow, but he's like, ah! It's like, yeah. Oh, Mr. Bad Guy doesn't have Beskar anymore. That's what happens to you, punk. I enjoyed the fact that like they played it out perfectly because his natural reaction would be to block like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what he does. And then so he blocks like that, but they did it right. It doesn't work because he doesn't have the right armor on for it to work. So I thought that was a nice touch.
I thought so too. I was excited. As soon as I saw the skiff, I was like, it's pirates. But then they were just blowing up the transports. That's not what pirates do. That's what saboteurs do. That's what guerrilla warriors do. These were freedom fighters, not pirates, in my opinion. Because if it was a pirate, they would want to capture the Rhydonium, capture the tanker, steal it, and then either use it or sell it. They wouldn't be there just to blow up Imperial ships out of the goodness of their piratey hearts, in my opinion.
Okay. So,
I know they were labeled as pirates for the credits as well.
Yeah, no, that's what you're saying, and that's I'm fine to concede that point. This is what I loved about this episode. Okay, let's go through the timeline here. Make sure I'm right.
Okay.
From Mando's perspective, he's the good guy.
Right.
The Imperials are bad guy.
Uh-huh.
They take out Imperials and rob Imperials' truck. Good guys are in the truck now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then the good guys take the bad guy's truck, and then other good guys start blowing up bad guy's truck, right?
Right.
Then those good guys attack our good guys.
Mm-hmm.
So then our good guys are fighting the now bad guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our good guys are killing the now bad guys, which are really good guys, but we're now calling them bad guys, right?
Yes.
Then the real bad guys that everyone agrees is bad guys comes and saves our good guys, kills the now good guys are now bad guys, and we all feel warm and fuzzy that the bad guys killed the good guys. But wait, then our good guys kill the ultimate bad guys at the end, so it's whatever.
Oh, I wasn't necessarily happy about the TIE Fighter saving them. I, of course, didn't want them to die, but I wasn't like, yay, TIE Fighters, you guys are great. But it's a big gray soupy mess as far as, good and bad, black and white, good and evil, that kind of thing goes. So it is messy. It is
Oh, I
very,
loved it. No, I mean that's what I love the most about Star Wars. Like that's the thing I appreciate the most is that they're
it's like real life.
huh?
It's like real life.
Well,
I
yeah,
can't tell you how many times I've jacked a tanker
Juggernaut,
full of Rhydonium
yeah,
and then been attacked by pirates that were actually just
dude,
trying to kill the bad guys that I'd stolen from, and I had to take them on
yeah.
like every other weekend. Thing.
Well, I appreciate the fact that if you're watching the show and you're trying to think about what's happening, you have Mayfield who has already said in this episode at one point that the Republic and the Empire it's all the same. They're all wanting to be totalitarians, basically.
Mhm.
Um, there's no difference, and then you see it kind of play out where the good guys and the bad guys just flip back and forth.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he's proven right that there is no right or wrong. Now, I think he overstated his case because he was happy to blow up the Imperials more than he was anything else, it seems. But there was a sense in which what he was saying, on some level, from his perspective, was true.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, and so I think that whatever they're trying, the story creators are trying to do with that the story. I just appreciate that they're bringing in these elements that if you're watching it, you're going, wait, hold on, the good guys are now the bad guys, but they're not really bad guys. Like if they were to sit down and talk, they would all fight on the same side, but
Mhm.
they can't talk, and so
Well, the only reason they're on the same side is because there's something in that Imperial base that Din and Mayfeld need. Otherwise, those pirates, Mando would definitely kill them. He doesn't. He's not against the Empire as much as he is trying to save Grogu. So to him, anybody trying to kill him's a bad guy. He doesn't care who you are. He doesn't care if you're New Republic. He doesn't care if you're Empire. He doesn't care if you're
yeah.
whoever, a Jawa stealing his shit parts. You're a bad guy, and he'll start shooting you, and he has.
Mm-hmm. I would imagine his stance on the Empire has definitely changed from episode 1 to now.
I would think so. He
Where he,
was happy to work for them.
huh?
He was also fine killing them 2 days
Yeah,
later.
yeah. But I'm saying
But I
like
think that's how he is with most people.
yeah. Well, now it's the Moff Gideon stuff. I think his perspective had to have changed because he's being hunted by them without mercy, or he was to get the kids. So
Yeah, yeah, he was. I really enjoyed the Huff when he got knocked down in the fight. He'd just taken out the skiff, and then Mayfeld's it's like, I gotta slow down again. And then you see the other like 3 skiffs coming up,
yeah,
and right before the TIE fighters come in, then it's just like, and then he starts
yeah.
to stand up. I was just like, yes,
Uh,
that is how I feel.
do you think this was trying to convey that he's not invincible?
I think that they wanted to do a realistic fight scene, and he does have basically super armor on. I think they also set up how awesome his armor is, just continuing to reinforce how awesome his armor is. I think it let them take another shot at the troopers just by being like, look at this cheap armor
Uh,
breaking when the guy hits it with a stick.
well, I'm saying though,
But they are just showing more of him as a human in general, and so by putting him in the other armor, it makes him a vulnerable character, and I think
and
just
like in the best
shows
car,
more.
you don't think there's anyone who can kill him. Like it's just not.
There are joints in that armor, though. Like there
I
are.
know. I'm just saying, like you just don't feel like it when you watch him. It doesn't feel like he's going to, you know. I mean, I know Django Fat got his head cut off. But it happens. It happens. But I'm just saying, like, from all the battles he's fought so far, he feels pretty dominant. This is the first time, like you said, there's the huff, and he's like, "Oh man, like this is really work." Like when I just can't deflect everything with my Beskar shield, like
Mhm.
I've actually got to fight people. This is a job. Like, am I get paid for this? So I don't know. I mean, it's hard to imagine someone getting him out of the armor to fight. So I don't see it happening, but it's interesting because outside the armor he is extremely vulnerable.
He is, but he's also still good, and that's one thing that we also got to see is,
That's true.
let's say he gets captured by Imperials and thrown in prison. We can see even without his armor, without his weapons, without his ship, he's still a force to be reckoned with. He's still, a level 5 hero. He's just got a level 7 magic item with him. Shout out to all the D&D fans watching, or listening. His armor definitely seems to be above his player level. Talking about NPCs, and he's still a pretty awesome fighter, though.
So it was also you think it's also a shot at the stormtroopers because they would never be able to do that.
At least 2, if not 3. I'm blanking right now, but at least 2, if not 3, got blown up by the pirates in the scene beforehand, right?
Right.
And then everybody was cheering and going crazy for him, which I guess means that the entire event was telecast to all the stormtroopers in the base, because they had people cheering for him. And then also just seeing that armor break, I think it's kind of like how we saw the stormtrooper deaths before, where they would get smashed by a rock or just kind of trip on their speeder. And it's just kind of like a unskilled person dying. This is just showing the Empire, these troopers, they're using subpar equipment. His gun runs out of bolts. So whether it's the energy pack or the gas or whatever it is that or some other mechanical failure, he's using subpar equipment to fight, and it's showing how good he is even with that, but it also shows what the stormtroopers are really working with. And so maybe defeating them isn't the hardest thing in the world also, but it also kind of shows the Empire on its last legs a little bit. And I think, yes, the First Order is still years away, but it does just help show why people would eventually abandon the Empire to create something new instead of trying to fix the broken machine that is the Empire.
So how does he get to walk, Bill Burr, Mayfield, Mick, whatever? How does he get to walk through the base? I know they saved the day, even though the TIE fighters saved the day, but they saved the day. How could he walk through the whole base with no helmet on? Like that to me
was the biggest inconsistency, right? That's not the biggest inconsistency. The biggest inconsistency comes after that. But everybody else has their helmet on. He doesn't have his on.
And he walks past officers too. It's not like there was. Yeah.
He does. You would think somebody would call him out and say, "No, put your helmet on."
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that nobody did. I think that would have been a nice touch if he would have had to have grabbed his helmet as he was getting out of the vehicle, or get sent back to it to go grab it and put it on. Somebody kind of take him down a peg,
yeah.
I'm not a writer, but I know you just saved the day, but you still got to follow the rules.
Yes, exactly. And it would have set up the Mando taking off his helmet scene better. Because Burr Mayfield walks up and he sees the admiral or whoever that guy is, and he's like, "Oh, he's going to recognize me." Well, okay, he's looking right at you, so if he's going to recognize you, now's the time. And you standing there like a big buffoon the whole time is not going to do anything. If he had his helmet on, I think it would have been better, because you'd have showed him really cowering out. And this, it's like, you don't have your helmet on. He already saw your face. Right. He's going to recognize you or not. The gig's up. But if the helmet on, Mando could be like, "Dude, what do you mean?" I think that would have built it better, because to me, it was like Mayfield. I was really questioning at that point. Is he gonna bail? Is he gonna bail? What's going on here? I don't even understand. That didn't work for me. The whole his helmet off. I got it off, and I got it when he was off at the in the Juggernaut. But once they got out, I thought someone would, like you say, bump him back down, put him in check. Hey, yeah, you made it, but we got a billion more of that stuff. Go put your helmet on, doofus. Yeah. And that didn't happen.
You have to leave it in 30 minutes for your next shipment.
Exactly. Right. Get a cup of coffee, get back out there. And that didn't happen. It's like, okay, well then he looks right at the guy who fantastic job that the guy played, whoever it was. But
Mhm.
I just, to me, that it really diminished the whole Mando taking his helmet off. I don't know.
It didn't diminish that for me. I think that when they were sitting across from Val and Hess though, and had that conversation, I think it would have been better if Mayfeld had been wearing a helmet from everybody else's perspective, from a viewer of a TV show, him not having his helmet on and getting to see his facial reactions and getting to see the face of somebody sitting across from somebody that they hate and talking about Operation Center and seeing how much that affected Mayfeld and that kind of stuff was great. And we could not see that if he was wearing a helmet. But in story, it would have been better if just some random trooper shot Val and Hess and they didn't know that it was some special guy.
Well, okay. So they push back. I know what you're saying, but it would be, I think it'd be better if what's his face, Mayfield would have chickened out with his helmet on.
Mhm.
Mando would be like, dude, you got a helmet on. I can't sell you. You're walking the corner. You'll never know. And he chickens out. Then everything else plays out the same, and you've got Mando with his helmet off, sitting there, Bill Burr with his helmet on, and the guy, and he starts to, you can tell in his voice he's getting frustrated, and he goes to take his helmet off, and the guy says to him, "Put your helmet on." Second time now, and then he pulls up the blaster, boom, smokes him, game over. That works out far better because this is, I think, the overarching, the one consistent complaint I have with the show is they set up things that it feels like there's easier and better ways to set them up, and I don't know why they don't. I mean, I'm not saying that what I've just laid out is the best way. It just seems to be a better way. So why, like with Mando leaving his jetpack, they set these things up that are just, it's like, hey, you could have just easily done something different. So I don't know. That's how I would have played it out.
I don't know why they didn't do that either, aside from not consulting with either of us beforehand. But I'm sure somebody else.
They are available for hire.
I'm sure somebody else had the same idea that we did, and they thought about it, and for whatever reason, they said, "No, we need to see Mayfeld's face the entire time that he's telling this story, so that we could see him go from like an on edge, arrogant person to someone who is visibly shook, to someone who's just over it all, and decides, I'm done with this. Boom, you're dead."
I'm fine with the
My thought was like, why not have your helmet on? Walk over to the terminal, take your helmet off, do what you got to do for it to scan your face, and then just put your helmet back on.
Right.
Like, the face scan does not take a long time, and it's worthless. Okay, this was my biggest issue with the whole
hold on. Before you go
to IT professional.
Yes. Okay. So real quick, one thing.
Sorry.
One other alternative that would have worked out even better. It would.
Okay.
So just to the point you made, it'd been better to watch him. Mayfield gets out of the truck with his helmet off. He walks. Everybody's high fiving him. Some lieutenant walks up and says, "Hey, schmuck, put your helmet on. You got to ride 30 minutes, whatever." Like you said. Then he chickens out. Mando goes and does it. Everything plays out, and then when they sit down, the Imperial guy, because he's kind of impressed with them, he's like, "Take your helmet off. Let's relax and have a cold beer or something like that." You've been working hard. At least then it made more sense. He took it off. Like,
yes,
he made a shot at the Empire.
Like
all these guys are sticklers for the rules. I'm so sick of all. He could have made. They could have done that. Like, he could have just been like, "Oh, I'm so sick of the rules around here." And then Mayfield's like, "The rules? We died for the rules, So, anyways, back to the photo face scan controversy of the century. I'm sorry. It was a joke. I agree.
It has to scan your face. And then what's it do with that information? It just takes a picture and says, this person accessed classified information. We don't know who he is. Have a nice day, Moff Gideon. Like, why? Why scan the face? If it's not some sort of passcode, some sort of security measure, other than only people with faces can type on this keyboard, like, that's it.
Yeah, that made Mayfield's whole appearance meaningless.
Anybody could have watched it. Now he knows Imperial protocols, which clearances, those get recycled, right? But protocols, those generally remain unchanged. And or if they are modified, they're only modified slightly, and it is apparent that Din knows nothing of Imperial protocols when he did not know a TK number. He didn't know his uh, anything that he was supposed to answer any of those questions with, and also terrible at improv. Not that I'm good. I'm just saying he's also terrible.
Yeah, he's not going to be at the local comedy club on Thursday night throwing out zingers.
No. And so when the officers asked him questions, it became very apparent he knows nothing. So at that point, Mayfeld is important because he helps him get out of a sticky situation. But that sticky situation could have been prevented by Mayfeld to begin with.
Yeah, agreed. But why? Okay.
I just assume all the good IT people defected to the New Republic because they were like, Empire doesn't give us benefits. And they said you get 2 weeks PTO and there's donuts on Thursdays.
You got to wear this helmet. Oh, yeah.
Do you know how hard it is to type with these gloves? Like,
exactly. I agree. If Mando could have had his face scanned, so at minimum, we would have presumed before this happened, the face scan would have identified you as a person, who you were, what your rank was, your criminal record, all that kind of stuff, right?
uh-huh.
Which is why you needed an Imperial sharpshooter, whatever he was, to come and to do this. Well, is there any connection other than Mando's done some work for him to think that he would have that kind of ID in the register?
Just that he was introduced to him as an Imperial sharpshooter, special ops person, and those people usually have a little bit of clearance, but that's the only thing Mando knows about him.
No, Mando. So we would presume this is what they're going to ask for. Why would Mando pass any checks?
That we would think that Mando had those credentials?
Yeah.
Oh, there is nothing to tell us that.
Right.
Nothing whatsoever. And because he can't take his helmet off, though those rules have changed, but because he never takes his helmet off, he also has never been like undercover, right? He's never had to assume a different identity.
Always undercover, technically.
He's always under a cover. Yes,
yes.
True. This is true. But he's never had to assume a false identity where maybe, hey, he got worked up these false Imperial credentials
right.
in the system, and let's hope that they haven't been cleared out of the database yet. Nothing like that could happen because his false identity would be a rubber face mask on top of a Mandalorian helmet, and that's not going to fly even in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. So I don't. I just didn't understand what the purpose of this terminal was to give away the Moff's location. It's not like he needed a random door opened. He went over the snacks where he wanted to know where the boss man is, which you would assume is private information.
Right. So you would think it had to be something classified, something that would require somebody who not only has a face but has a known face.
Clearance level.
Yeah.
Like, right now, if we wanted to know where the Fifth Fleet is, we could probably Google and find some website that tells you generally where the Fifth Fleet is. Okay. And so more or less we would know where the Fifth Fleet is in the Middle Eastern part of the world. But if you want to know where a specific submarine was, a U.S. Submarine, I'm assuming that information is going to be classified unless the submarine is on shore leave, right? Huh?
They can tell me I have a face.
You have a face, right? But once you say I've got a face, they're like, oh, well, the president's doing this, the nuclear codes are this, and the submarines are here. Sure. Like, how does that get past everyone?
I don't have an answer on that one. That's my least favorite part of this episode.
And maybe I can't imagine what the explanation would be, but I would love to hear it. I'd love to hear it. Like, what was the explanation here?
Usually, the explanation for stuff like that in the real world also carries over to a lot of fantasy worlds, which is they never expected anybody to be crazy enough / stupid enough / brave enough to break into an Imperial base and get that information, so they never secured it. And that does happen. We do see those kinds of data breaches in the real world all the time, where they're like, well, this is only accessible from the 17th floor of our building in North Dakota. We didn't think anybody would sneak in there.
You can't even find North Dakota on a map. Okay, so let me concede that. But would you think that any Imperial would have access to Moff Gideon's location?
They shouldn't. And I would not think that just any random Imperial would, and especially some random non-Imperial.
Right.
But also, his face got scanned. They now know what he looks like. He now lost a big edge he had. If he ever wanted to blend into a crowd, all he had to do was get undressed. Probably not completely. That's not going to blend very well. But, take the helmet off, take the armor off, wear some regular clothes. Nobody has any idea that you're the Mandalorian. But now he doesn't have that edge.
Well, we did. We did. We could have reported him.
We could have. Or the droid that has not only eidetic memory, but cameras for eyes and a hard drive to store information on also saw him. But that's okay because it's not a man.
The droid died. The droid died, though. But we're still
eventually. Not right then, but eventually. Yeah. I mean, it was an awesome droid. That was the best man ever.
A transmission, a communique. Yeah, I did think about that too. Like they now have his picture. That would be hilarious if like he lands on Moff Gideon's ship, and Moff like flicks on this screen. It's like, oh, look, here you are.
It's just wanted posters of him with his mustache and everything everywhere. Just everywhere he goes now. I just want to see him like they never get the nose right and just like take whatever.
What about no Grogu?
What about no Grogu in the episode?
I mean, we're at the end, so let's see what talking about. There's at the end.
Yeah. No. Okay. There were a couple other notes I had. As they're escaping and people are shooting at them and then getting shot and just falling, and the screams as they fell cracked me up. As the let's see, Boba Fett looking a little too polished. Saw that on there. Proton bombs. So that's what that was at the end. That was a proton bomb. Those are in canon, I think, in First Dawn and Empire Strikes Back. So, episode 2 of Mandalorian.
No, episode 2 with Jango Fett, Obi-Wan.
Oh yes, yeah, we do see them there, but they were in the original trilogy as well. There were some proton bombs in there. Okay. I think they got added to Empire Strikes Back in the special edition.
Episode
2. There's a special TIE fighter called a TIE Bomber that uses proton bombs.
Episode 2, though, you know the scene I'm talking about, right?
I am blanking on it right now, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
So Obi-Wan is chasing Jango and Boba, and he Jango drops one of those on Obi-Wan in like the asteroid field.
Yeah, that sounds right.
You don't remember that at all?
I don't remember at all, but I'm going to agree with you that's
look it up. That's that was it's an iconic scene. The same sound and everything.
Yeah, I believe you. That was a great callback to episode 2.
Huh?
I said the proton bomb was a great callback to episode 2. Do that improv, Dan. That's the kind of stuff you have to be able to come up with on the fly. Somebody asks what you're doing here. You got to be.
Can we do? Will it kick us off YouTube if we do this? If we show it?
Possibly, maybe. I don't know. I've been told stuff like that is covered under fair use.
But I know, but live streaming, I don't know if it counts.
I don't know.
Let's see here.
I guess freedoms under the United States laws don't apply to live streamers, only recorded.
Yeah, let's see here.
You'll have to share your screen, which I don't know if what you're playing it from, but Disney Plus may not let you share your screen and record it.
Seismic charges. Stand by.
Can you see it?
Yes. Oh, see, that's a seismic proton bomb.
Huh?
He says seismic charge, not proton bomb. I was thinking it was a proton bomb.
No, it's the same thing for the seismic charge from episode 2.
Yeah, but maybe so I may be mistaken on it then. I'll have to look into that.
You're wrong. It's okay. No,
It happens. It
yeah.
happens.
It's the first time in like 20 episodes. So there you
I
go.
thought I was wrong once, but then I wasn't.
You weren't, yeah. And you still might not be wrong here.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
I'll
TBD.
look into it and won't get back to anybody,
Exactly.
depending on the answer. Let's see. Okay. Mayfeld getting set free.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't he have gone legit, just like Cara Dune did? Like, he just blew up an entire Imperial base. You'd think that would at least lessen his sentence significantly and help him get in good with the New Republic. Yes, he is wanted for murder of a Republic soldier. I know there's people in the New Republic that are in more powerful positions who have done worse things. They were happy to take people who are switching over from the Empire to the New Republic. It's like, look, I know last year you were a genocidal maniac, but now you're on our side.
You talking about the U.S. after World War II?
I was mostly talking about U.S. foreign policy during the Cold War leading up and through the 90s, but I'm actually talking about Star Wars. Maybe I'm talking about both. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
Let's see. I bet Moff Gideon is regretting not killing Mando when he had the chance to just do an orbital bombardment on Tython.
Can we talk about that
one ship, but he could have just killed them all.
Okay, yes. Fact. That is a fact, too. Did Moff Gideon look intimidated to you?
Did he look intimidated?
Yeah. Like, okay,
No.
if I'm Moff Gideon and they're like, hey, Moff, there's a transmission, and this silver surfer looking dude pops up, he's like, Moff Gideon, you've got like, oh wait, hold on, pause. Who is this again?
I think he would remember him though, because he used the same words that Moff Gideon used to him.
I know. But I'd be like, but you're Moff Gideon, and people are like, Moff, it's the guy who had the child. The child. Oh yeah, the green thing. Yeah. What about him now? He's the one who had it in Navarro and on Typhon. This guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was intimidated. I just bet he's regretting it. Where he's just like, man, I should have blew up more things on Tython.
No, but I'm saying like he should have been like. It would have been funny if he'd been like, wait, who is this again? I don't remember. Like help me out. Like that. That's how I would expect Moff Gideon to handle this.
It would have been funny if someone else had been like, also, we received this picture of an unknown person from Morak.
Yeah. Can't put it together. But you see,
like, maybe that's the thing. They blew up the terminal and his picture didn't ever leave Morak. Maybe that's the saving grace. Like, maybe we'll hear some exposition in another episode where it's like, well, Imperial terminals are on a 60-minute cycle. So anything you do on there doesn't upload to the main servers for an hour.
Right.
I don't know.
Of course, they could have been talking to that general for like 3 hours for all we know.
This is true. I don't think it was that long.
I don't know.
They could have.
But you don't agree? You don't think Moff Gideon should have been like, really? You, of all people, are going to come up to me? Like, this to me sometimes in these character stories where you have the hero and you know the hero's going to win, it would be better for the villain just to dismiss their chances. Like,
yeah, well, that's basically what he did before. But it would have been good if he were more bemused by the situation.
Yeah, like I would have really enjoyed him being like, wait, who is this again? And they like the little secretary, the comms officer is like, sir, he's the guy that had him on Navarro. Remember when you were killing your guys for talking? Navarro. Yeah, that rings a bell. Okay. And what you don't remember last week when we sent the death troopers down to get the kid? He was down there. He was down there? Yeah, you blew up a ship. Oh, okay. Huh, whatever. All right, I don't want to hear this. Just put it in the Monday, like put it in the 9 o'clock report in the morning, give me a full debriefing, and everyone's like, oh God, why did you show the video? Like, why did you show him? We get this every day, and you had to show him. I gotta do it. You get somebody to the back, pound the keyboard, like, I gotta go write a report on this guy. That's to me the Empire. Like it's too.
I think that would have been good. That may have been a little too on the nose. So, and there was already a lot of comedy in this episode.
I know it would have been
so
too
they may
much.
not want to overdone it.
I know it would have been too much, but it's just what I would for me a little fan service for me. I would have appreciated like the episode ends. Some stormtrooper is just pounding away, trying to get a report ready for Moff Gideon on.
Get those TPS reports.
Yes, his TPS reports. Like he's cracking his knuckles. He's like, "Okay, that's a wrap." Like, what? Wait, what? No, no. I gotta do another one of these. Yes. So I would have appreciated that.
The one big thing we didn't talk about yet was Operation Cinder. And that's part of why I think Bill Burr ended up being the perfect choice, even though I had that thought when he was getting broken out of the prison camp. And then when he said, "You people," and he was like, "And by you people, I mean Mandalorians," I was like, also a very Bill Burr thing to say. But then Operation Cinder. So for everybody not familiar, Operation Cinder was introduced during the Shattered Empire story arc that came out in the road to what was episode 7 called? The Force Awakens. On the road to the Force Awakens stuff, they came out with some comics and they mentioned Operation Cinder, and that's where we're first introduced to it. And I know some stuff got talked about in a Battlefront, but I didn't play Battlefront, so I can't. Or maybe it was Battlefront 2. I don't know how many fronts the battle has. I didn't play any of those games. and so from the comics, here's what Operation Cinder is, though, in a nutshell. The Emperor planned that if things go bad for the Empire, that they were gonna nuke some of their own places. Basically, they were gonna blow up some of their own places that, for key reasons, they did not want falling into enemy hands. That they found it would be better to just decimate the place and destroy all the good stuff there, so that those resources, whether it be information or equipment or natural resources or economic resources, whatever it is, doesn't fall into the hands of what ended up becoming the New Republic. At the time was the Rebellion, whoever the enemy of the Empire is at the time. Places like Naboo were included in this, though based on another comic, I don't think it was very successful on Naboo if it did get executed. But that's, Sheev Palpatine's home planet as well. So there are some, I guess, mixed success with Operation Cinder. And we don't know all the details on Operation Cinder, but we do know that Mayfeld was at one of those locations. And so Mayfeld having the emotional reaction that he did, I thought was great, because he was basically the guy that saw the general give the order for 9/11 to happen as an inside job, which I'm not saying 9/11 was an inside job or that a general ordered it. I'm just saying, comparable to like real life scenarios for us, that's what happened. He worked for the Empire. He was high up, sharp spec ops for him. He was all about that life. And then they ordered the death and destruction of everyone that he had around him and him. I'm sure that he escaped through skill and luck and whatnot. And he found out that it was the Empire killing other Imperials. That's a huge betrayal. And so, like I said, it'd be like finding out that 9/11 was an inside job, but you found out when you were there when the person gave an order for it to happen. And so he's got a bone to pick. And that's why.
And your family's in the Twin Towers.
I'm sorry, what?
And your family was on the plane and in the Twin Towers.
Yes, and everyone you cared about was there, and you just happened to walk out of the building 30 seconds soon enough.
Right.
So I think it's a big deal for him, but I think that's why he had no problems just blowing up the entire base, which also, it's like, hold on. You're upset about how they blew up your base and you lost all your friends and guys that you worked with and that their families suffered so much. How many people did you just do that to? But I guess, they're bad enough now that he doesn't care about that aspect of it. Again, also for him, it could be like, well, the Empire doesn't care about these people. Why should I care about these people?
Well, I think, so go back to what I said earlier about the kind of the good, the bad, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. the thing that I can appreciate about Star Wars is that it does that. Where they have to be careful is they have to make sure that the Empire is perceived as always the worst of the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you do start asking those questions that you're asking, like this is an irrelevant base, an irrelevant planet. They're out there. Now they do give you just enough to make you think that these are probably bad guys too. But like if you go read these Lost Stars, you kind of feel bad for the Imperials on some level. And so not all of them, but some of them. So I think it's a fine line to tout. And so, if you said, and I hate picking real life battles because people will think you're inferring one thing that you're not, but
It's an imperfect analogy, no matter what we set up.
right. So, but if we all agree that side B is the bad side A is the good side, in any battle you're talking about, it's unlikely that everyone in side B fundamentally agrees with everything that their leadership does, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're killed, so I think what you're pointing out, Kyle, is that when Burr is now on the A side killing the B side, it's we're presuming Palpatine and his loyalists are being killed, when really it's a bunch of Burr guys that are down there being killed.
Yeah, it's the same people that were him 5 years beforehand. Well,
right.
Probably closer to 9 years beforehand.
So some of those guys are really bad, some of those guys are really good, some of those guys are in between. Just kind of a mix. And so, yeah, no, and the harder part is that he's not a rebel fighter, right? If he's a rebel fighter, you kind of go, well, rebel fighter, that's what they do. They killed the Empire, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's war. They're at war with the Empire. This isn't. This should be like, to take your analogy a different way, it'd be like a U.S. Navy SEAL come and blow up the Pentagon. Like whoa, hold on. I know you're bad about this deal, but now you killed everyone in the Pentagon. Like that's a little excessive, And so,
he already killed Valen Hess, the guy who was the commanding officer.
Fantastic acting job, by the way. Can we agree on that?
Oh, it was fantastic.
Oh, his part, him and Bill Burr, that scene, and listen, I don't know. I know you told me that the Mandalorian wants more FaceTime or screen time.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, if he's gonna sit there and shut up, and Bill Burr and that guy are gonna go back and forth, then he can get all the FaceTime he wants. But like him not talking was the best thing about that, because that was really good.
It was. It was all great acting. One thing that I love, the entire series I think has been well cast. Generally well cast. Secondly, comedians do really good in dramatic parts when you put them into dramatic roles, and The Mandalorian has done that with several people, right? On Tatooine, I'm blanking on her name, but Strangers with Candy is running the repair bay, right? And so we've got several people that we've seen, and I think Jon Favreau has a lot to do with that, because that's what he did with Robert Downey Jr. for Iron Man. He likes taking people out of the role that they're known for, putting them into another role that they can do good at or do well at, and just letting them do a good job.
Right.
I think that's really cool.
Right. Yeah, no, I thought, yeah. So I don't know. I'm not a actor, IMDb, Yanni Landers type, so I don't know, I even know. No one is. Pedro Pascal is his name, his real name, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I would have never known that unless you told me. So Pedro Pascal, I have no idea what else he's been in. I take that back. I saw someone on a Star Wars theory video say that he was in Game of Thrones, maybe, and so
never watched it,
right? And so that maybe there's some kind of sword fight that mimics what he did in Game of Thrones. Beyond that, I don't know what he did in Game of Thrones. This was a Star Wars theory video saying he was in Game of Thrones, so I'm assuming he was. But I'm saying, beyond that, I don't know what kind of actor he is or isn't. I just say that the role he's been given here makes it hard for him to have much range, other than very serious stuff. And so when he took the helmet off, it was interesting because you have him with the helmet off, which is kind of weird. Bill Burr calling him Brown Eyes, which was funny.
Yeah. Well, I think taking the helmet off is a very different experience for him. And I think that's also part of why he may have been so thrown off. Like, he's having trouble just surviving in a world without his helmet on. So he's like, this guy's asking me questions. I'm already uncomfortable, and I'm in enemy territory, and I don't know what he's talking about. So maybe I'm being too harsh on his improv skills.
Well, no, I mean, I think I'm just agreed with all that. I'm saying I'm glad they handled it that way because of what we got with Burr and the other guy. It was so good. Like the best part was him sitting there because he didn't screw it up. Like I don't know what kind of acting chops he has. He hasn't been able to put them on display because his role is pretty much I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go do this. The child, So I was glad that they didn't let him talk. Like just sit there because this was a very good. Again, the helmet stuff we talked about earlier. Just got to put that aside. It was a very well like this arrogant guy is just sitting there like, oh yeah, well, and this other guy's like, as you say, he's going from like disdain to being broken to I'm about to Han Solo you with Greedo. Like here we go. And so also it should have been under the table, right?
I think it should have been over the table for him.
I'm being silly. Like
under the table would have been great fan service.
No, I'm being 100% silly. I saw people like, oh, it should have on the table. Like, well, fan service, but it really wouldn't have. Like, it really should have been smoked him in the forehead like he did, or in the chest, or whatever. So, no, it was done well.
Yeah, it was. I'm mad at you, and I want everybody to know that.
Right,
and they did. And so, for Mayfeld, it was like, look, you killed the guy responsible. You killed people who were trying to kill you. But then he took it one step further and just blew up the whole base. Now, if he hadn't blown up the whole base, maybe he wouldn't have been able to go free at the end. Me, if I were in that situation, the whole time I was out away from prison, I would have been looking for a way out, whether through legitimate or illegitimate means. I've been like, look, can I escape? As a person, just who I am, not me as Mayfeld, but me as Kyle, I would not try to do something underhanded to get away. But I could run away into the woods. I'm pretty good at running into the woods. It's a skill I have.
Running on your CV, it says, IT professional running away into the woods.
Yes.
Not running out the other side, but you can get in them.
I can get in.
You can
Getting out harder.
It's harder. Yes. Leaving the woods is not listed.
It's like getting into a pool with no steps. In's a whole lot easier than out.
Exactly. Yeah. So, do you think you mentioned him not coming along?
I don't think he's going to be there at the last episode.
No, I think he's not either. I agree. It would have been nice to have him. He's obviously a good shot. You would have three good shots, right?
I thought he was going to be part of the team at the end, but I don't think so. And that's just going to make it easier for Boba Fett to turn the tables last minute.
Are we ready to go there? Is that where we're going now?
I don't think Cara Dune is coming along either.
What?
I don't think Dune is coming with him either.
I mean, I heard you. I heard the transmission came through clear.
Okay, just making sure.
I was just caught off guard by you saying that out loud. Like
she might, but I would not be surprised if she was back on Navarro in the next episode, and it was just Mando and Fennec, team of 3. She might be there.
What is the role of the Marshal? I'm junior. I'm asking. I don't know.
Wait, what's the question?
What's the role of the Marshal?
I think just like a sheriff.
Okay. I didn't know if she could justify the Marshal thing to like go get Moff for being in violation in the Outer Rim and like,
I don't think so. I think that she is basically the head law enforcement for Navarro.
That's what I was.
New Republic jurisdiction.
Well, so if she goes back and it's Fennec and Boba, are the Avengers showing up or how are they pulling that one off?
No. Patton Oswalt did suggest that at one point.
Who?
Patton Oswalt, comedian who's a fan. Yes.
Yeah. But Bo-Katan did show up, huh?
Bo-Katan, she needs to.
She's looking for him.
I think she's going to get there too late.
Oh, wait. Here you go. Here's what's going to happen. Bo-Katan says she's looking for Moff Gideon, right?
She's looking for the Darksaber.
Right.
And he's got it.
But did she tell him that she was looking for Moff Gideon?
She didn't. And she didn't tell him that she was looking for the Darksaber either. She just said, something of mine got taken. I need to get it back. It's like lack of communication, people. You could
She
solve
didn't tell him at
something.
all. When she was, I thought she said more than that. No.
Not to Mando. I'm 99% sure she did not say more than that to Mando. Just
Oh.
it took something from me and I want it back.
Okay. Because if that was the case, I was gonna say that he might reach out to her, like, "Hey, listen, remember this Moff guy you're looking for? I'm going to go take him down if you want to come along." You know, she
No.
could be there already, though.
She could be there already. Her and her team, Night Owls, I believe they go by, could already be there when he arrives. He might be late to the party.
Can I just say this?
Mhm.
I really hope Grogu kills a good guy.
I don't.
Like
I
one
like
little,
my good guy's good and my bad guy's bad.
one little neck snap. It can be like a fourth night owl, like someone we don't know the name to. Like, hey, that's Tommy running out the back. Grogu's like, dink. He just falls over. You know, like this, just a little bit.
I could see him attacking one. I don't want him to kill one.
Oh, he's already choked Cara Dune.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I could see him attacking one. Like we get like kind of a Luke rescuing Leia moment. The cell door opens and somebody busts in, and Grogu's just like has something ready, and he just like slams them to the ground. And he's like, "It's me!" And he's like, "Oh, sorry, Dad." Like, something along those lines. But I don't want to see him kill anybody.
Well, okay, not real violence. We're not proposing.
No, I'm just saying I don't like it when my heroes fall. Not that Grogu's necessarily my hero, but just kind of that idea. I like the good and the bad.
I know, I do too. But I'm not sure Grogu's good.
I'm not sure either. I was thinking about that a lot earlier today, actually. And I'm just like, how are they going to keep Grogu from going down the path? And so what I was thinking is that for season 3, Bo-Katan needs to now take over Mandalore or take her place as the rightful ruler of Mandalore. And whether that is on the planet Mandalore or as leader of the Mandalorians on Concord Dawn or whatever it is, she needs the Darksaber. She needs to go take her rightful place. She needs to go against Clan Saxon or whoever is standing in her way, Clan Vizsla, whoever it may be. And that Mando and Grogu help her out with the agreement that when the war is over, he just gets to retire and him and the kid are going to grow old together.
The kid's going to grow really old.
Yes.
Mando's going to die.
One will grow older alone at some point. And
Yes.
Mando's going to grow young.
Mando's going to grow, Grogu's going to grow young with Mando.
Yes. Yes. And so Grogu's already older than Mando.
Right. And he's going to be young when he dies.
Yeah. Which is just crazy. But I think that's what I think is going to happen. Now I don't know if he's going to, go off into the sunset and retire like that, and that's how they're going to end the series. But I think that's going to be his agreement is, hey, if me and the kid help you out, we just get to chill on Mandalore and everybody leaves us alone. And I think that the only way to keep Grogu from going down a dark path, but also not be part of Luke Skywalker's new Jedi Order, because I don't think that's happening, is to have him go be a recluse on his own around nobody.
Yeah, I agree. The more it's gone on, I don't think anyone's coming for Grogu. I think the call goes unanswered. I don't know how they'd find Grogu now. He's not on the stone anymore.
He's not on the stone anymore. Now they might sense him some way through different, like they may have felt his presence and then they can keep feeling that presence when he uses large bursts. But I think it would be great. The only way that I want to see Mark Hamill or Luke Skywalker at all in this series is he shows up to Tython, nobody's there, and he's just like, well, I guess I was late, and he just leaves.
Yeah, yes, agreed. I think that'd be fantastic. I don't think anyone should go for Grogu. The more I thought about it, if you bring back Mace Windu, I think that just messes up too much. It would be awesome to see Mace, but it messes up too much. You bring Luke back. I mean, he's back. You bring
I'd
Luke
be okay
in.
with that Mace Windu versus Boba Fett fight that we talked about.
Listen, it'd be spectacular, but you're going to have to write like 47 comics to explain why Mace wasn't in episode 4, 5, and 6. So,
Oh, or they'll just have to give him his own mini series like they are for everybody else nowadays.
yes, well, that's fine. But I'm just saying, like, it's a lot of work to. I think that would be. I was talking to someone today. I said I'm fine with the history. I'm fine with the inconsistencies in canon because if you read history, there's inconsistencies, right?
Uh-huh.
So, we hold Star Wars to a higher standard than we do history, which is really weird, but whatever. So I'm fine with like the guy from Clone Wars
Because
saying
Star Wars is planned out.
it's real to me, Kyle. It's real to me.
I'm just saying it's planned. It's like we're talking about how good the scenes are or how good an order of events are.
Wow.
But no,
It's
a
real
group
to
of
me.
people sat down and figured out the right way to do it. I'm just saying we hold it to a higher standard because we know how it was created, and we hold history books to a lower standard because we're like, well, biased people recorded just the stuff they cared about there. But that was Lucas's original idea for or not necessarily original idea, but what became his idea for the stories, for the episodes, the movies, where this is R2D2 telling a story from his perspective, right?
Right. Yeah. So
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. So if you say, if you take what you said, right? If you say that it's planned out, which it is, obviously it's not real, so it is planned out. You have to be careful because you get into a spot to where everything a character says is said from the perspective of it was planned out, and therefore we take everything they say literally. Everything they say is 100% true. The characters can never make mistakes. The characters can never be wrong, and that is just not reality. That is a fiction, and so
I concur. And I know you're an anti-literalist, and there are some things that we should take literally, but I would agree that we can't just take everything literally.
yeah, I'm not an anti-literalist. I'm a realist, and so like you pointed out the other day, the guy in the Clone Wars who said that Boba and his dad weren't actual Mandalorians, and then he turned out to be a bad guy. Okay, well, I think it's fine in the context of whatever you think about the debate to at least bring that into the question, saying, well, he was a liar and he was this, and he was that. This is for argument's sake. Listen, there's nothing else ever said in canon about Jango and Bubba. That's all we have is this one guy's statement. You can say he literally said it. Bob, whoever wrote that comic or wrote that episode, therefore he knows the canon. It's true. Or you can say, well, Bob's writing a human, and humans lie, and humans act certain ways. Therefore, interpret it that way. And I want to interpret it that way. That's all
Bob
I'm saying.
didn't say it. The minister said it.
No, Bob. I'm saying Bob.
Right? No, that's what I'm saying. The character says the thing, and in the story, the characters can be flawed. They can have agendas.
Right.
They are not all knowing. They make mistakes. Right.
That's right. And so if you go back to like with Bill Burr getting out without the helmet, it's just that we don't ever see that in Star Wars anywhere else.
Uh-huh.
We don't see them giving that type of latitude, and so the frustration is not. Yes, it could happen because it's a fictional place and weird things happen, and so I'm fine with that.
But you think you would be put in check?
Yes, it's just that the story doesn't the universe that we're given just doesn't seem to afford those type of opportunities to stormtroopers, and so especially drivers, I'm sure, who are lowest of the low. So
it's considered a pilot, which I think is above a regular trooper. But I'm also pilot. Really, I don't have a pilot's license for my Honda Odyssey.
So, anyways, all I'm saying is that I haven't even get on this debate. I even remember now.
I don't think it matters how we got on the debate. It was important.
Mace Windu.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to it.
Yes, no, Mace Windu.
Yes.
So to bring Mace Windu back, you would have to deal with Yoda being like categorically wrong on. Like, I can get some smaller Jedi that aren't significant being out there. I can kind of live with that. Mace Windu being alive for 4, 5, and 6, and Yoda not knowing about it. To me, that's where you really start to say, well, like, I'm not saying that Yoda's perfect or right. I'm just like, at some point, he has to have some credibility. And Mace being alive would seem to be part of that.
Yeah, his credibility is already called into question with his line of "there is another," when actually there's a lot of others.
Yeah, yeah.
So
He tells Luke he's the last one, though.
I'm sorry.
He tells Luke when he dies, he's gonna be the last one.
Yeah, there's a problem with that.
Well, okay, but okay, who's all left?
There's at least Ezra Miller.
There's Ezra,
Right.
but Yoda doesn't know about Ezra.
He does. He's talked to Ezra.
Oh, with Rebels.
Yes.
Does he?
There's Cal Kestis, right? I think that's Cal's last name.
Yeah,
Which I don't know him very well, but
he's
I know
the
of
game.
him. Right, he's from the games.
Yeah,
But he's a canon character.
yeah.
Let's see who else. There's Ahsoka Tano.
She's not Jedi though.
I'm sorry. She was introduced in an episode literally titled "The Jedi."
Okay, the title isn't canon.
Fair enough. Touche, Bob the writer.
I'm just saying.
No, fair enough. But as my co-host of a prior episode pointed out, she is, for all intents and purposes, a Jedi.
Listen, don't quote me against me, okay?
She has the lightsabers. Somehow, her lightsaber's back again. This is a huge inconsistency to me. Did she build new replicas of her lightsabers? Actually, thinking about Rebels, she had to have, because Anakin changed out one of her crystals, and one of them was now blue, and her new ones aren't blue. So yes, that's what happened. She built new lightsabers exactly like her old ones. That's the only thing that makes sense here. Anyways, sorry about that.
Okay, so if Mace comes back, it'd be awesome to see him fight Boba. I agree.
Yeah,
But
I'm just saying there's a few other Jedi people who are even more of a Jedi than Luke Skywalker at the time. Yoda is not all-knowing.
mm-mm.
He is not Jesus or Santa Claus or whoever else you want to go with that's always watching you.
Yeah.
But he does know a lot, and he definitely should have known about this Grogu character.
Well, yeah, he might have. Yeah, it depends on who saved Grogu, you know.
But he should know, like, that he existed and that you would think he'd be able to feel him still.
Yeah. Well, this is so this is my point with Mace. So if Mace comes back, it's like, okay, then Yoda's credibility is basically shot. Like, it's really bad. Without Mace, I can live with Ezra. Maybe Yoda thinks Ezra's dead by the time Luke comes along. He hadn't heard from him in a while.
But
You know,
he does go off into hyperspace on the back of a whale.
yeah, that's not Yoda style. I mean, sometimes, but not normally. Ahsoka kicked out of the order. Cal, I don't know if he knows if they come in contact. So it's possible. You can sit there and say it's possible for Yoda to not think that. Just like in 4 when Obi-Wan says, I don't own any droids. I don't remember owning any droids. But if you go watch all the Clone Wars and 1, 2, and 3, he really doesn't care for droids. Like, those aren't his.
And they're never his droids.
Yeah.
But you think he'd have been like, oh yeah, these guys.
Yeah. But he's always on Anakin for saving R2, and so anyways, you can kind of see him after the sun.
Also, this one's another issue, and I'm sorry to interrupt. There has to be more than one model that looks just like R2D2.
Yes.
There are but we never meet them, and that is one of my biggest frustrations with the Star Wars universe at large, is that it's never like, oh, hey, come here, R2D2. Why aren't you listening? Oh, it's somebody else's R2D2 model.
Right.
There's not enough letters in a 4-character code to have
one.
Anyways, sorry.
Yeah. Right. So, right. Anyways, so I'm just saying, bringing back, I think Mace is my point. Bringing back Mace would be a problem. Beyond that, the Luke Skywalker thing, I think you've covered it well. I don't think anyone's coming for Grogu. I think we're going to have Boba Fett turn on Mando. Boca is going to come save Mando somehow because she's hunting for the same thing. That's my prediction for episode whatever it is next episode next.
episode. Let's see. The first we had the Jedi, then the tragedy, then the believer. I'm gonna call this one the finale.
The finale.
No, it's not the series finale. We know there is a season 3 coming, airing Christmas Day, 2021.
What's up with that?
They don't like Jesus.
No, but I mean, seriously, like, why are you waiting so long?
I think that it got delayed because of COVID. They couldn't start on it earlier.
I know what my point was. My point with that big long rant about the perspectives is the more canon they add, I think the harder it's going to be to actually keep the story cohesive. And so a lot of the folks who are like Star Wars timeline, this book, this comic says this, I think you're going to have to, in the next 3 to 4 years, abandon that, or you're just going to have to be miserable because I think it's going to, with all the new 10 episodes, 10 series they've got coming out, I can't imagine how we're not going to have more problems with the timeline.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you look at other universes that have gotten into like nitty gritty details, you have stuff like Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series. I think there's 14 of those books. The last one wasn't really written by him. You could say number 13 wasn't 100% written by him, but these are like some thick books. And it's because they get really detailed with things, and that's what you have to do when you're like doing universe building, and you give people these details that you then have to explain how it connects way further down the story. You end up with stories that are this big instead of this big. That's all your competition. Poul Anderson's books are this big.
Right.
Robert Jordan's books are this big.
Right.
I mean, even Tolkien was in the middle there. So yeah. Sorry, I don't remember.
I mean, so before you,
I'm agreeing with you. I'm angrily agreeing with you.
Yeah. So I think that's something that we're all going to grapple with. Like, how do we take it? I think my approach, obviously, is the trying to interpret people for what they say, how they act. Can you believe them? Could they be mistaken? Is probably the only way you're going to be able to be a happy Star Wars fan, because it's going to be tough, especially with the Obi-Wan Vader series. The Bad Batch, I think, will be okay. But anyways, I think that's, if Luke Skywalker shows up in this one, you're going to have problems. You're just going to have problems. Luke, again, he better cut everybody's head off real quick and in a hurry. And if he doesn't do that, you got a problem. Like, that's the Luke Skywalker problem. If he's coming, he better come and wreck shop really fast. That's all I got to say. I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to stop there, actually. I want to stop there. But let me say it again. If he comes, and if it's a long battle with Luke Skywalker, I will be frustrated. If you bring me Luke and he just comes and like mows everyone down in 13 seconds, I'm content.
The light side version of what we saw of Vader in Rogue One.
Yes.
Just where Luke is like, oh, you have somebody? You just like pull somebody to him, stabs, slashes, all sorts of stuff. And then it's just like Din at the end holding Grogu, and Luke's like, you going to give him to me? And Din's like, no, maybe. I don't want
light sword you got there?
So, do you know Ahsoka Tano?
Are you and her on the same team? So, what's your prediction, Kyle, for this episode?
Oh, for the next one?
For the last one of the season.
I think that they're going to go after Moff Gideon. I think that they are not going to kill him. I think that they are going to... I think they're going to end on a more positive note than I want them to, though. Because what I want to happen is I want them to go to break into Moff Gideon, and at the last moment, Boba Fett betrays Din, and that's how the season ends.
Yeah.
With Din in chains. I don't think that's what's going to happen, though. I think they're going to make Boba the scoundrel with the heart of gold, just like they did to Han Solo. And that they are going to attack Moff Gideon, and he's going to escape somehow, probably with that female officer he keeps around.
The comms officer.
She's gonna play a role in how he escapes and lives, they're going to get Grogu back and blow up his light cruiser.
Let me just say,
Why does he have a light cruiser? Why doesn't he have a good Star Destroyer? I know he's a Moff, not a Grand Moff, but I would still think that he would have a Star Destroyer.
yeah, he's economical. He likes the hybrids. He's an EV kind of guy. He doesn't want a gas guzzler.
We're not supposed to like them, remember?
I don't like that. Makes me like him less. To be quite honest with you.
Like them less.
Yes, he's a Tesla guy. I don't like him at all now. So you've sold me. So I do agree.
You still live in you now live in the same state as Mr. Tesla.
Yes, I do. So do you.
It's a big state.
It's a big state.
I expect to never see him.
We're basically next door neighbors, But yeah, I think Boba should turn. I think that fits the story if it's his character. Fennec might. I thought in my perfect world, Boba turns. Fennec doesn't because she's torn over this whole thing. Like she's not in on the joke, or she even if she's in on it, she changes her mind, and she dies again. Gets shot in her motorized parts, and she's dead. That would be fitting for her. There's no reason to carry her next season. Boba, I think Boba has to die too. I don't unless again my perfect world. Just sitting, Boca.
Perfect world. Everybody dies.
No, well, you got to have bad guys.
Yeah.
And so this whole we got to redeem Kylo Ren and Darth Vader and all this stuff. I don't like all that. Not because I don't like people being redeemed. I don't like mass murderers being redeemed, parent killers being redeemed. Like I
think I do. I think that's my thing. I think that's why I like this episode so much. I saw Mayfeld murder dozens of people, and I'm still like, he's a good guy.
He's a good guy. Yeah.
He's a good guy. And before that, he had murdered lots of people for the bad guys.
Yeah.
And, but now he did a good thing. So
Kyle's a murderer. You're a murderist.
I just like murderers. I'm not one. I don't advocate people murdering them. I advocate murderers becoming good murderers. I want to make this clear. In Star Wars.
In Star Wars. Yes, in Star Wars. So I don't think, but I'm like you. I'm kind of concerned that Boba will stay good, and that would be disappointing. Especially when you read the comic books and stuff about him in canon, not the lore, not the EU. He's just that's not his character. So
no, I think they're going to give him the treatment they gave Han Solo in Solo, which as a movie, I enjoyed the Solo movie, and I think it had a lot of good parts to it. But they did what I expected to do, which they made him the whole scoundrel with the heart of gold thing, instead of just being the scoundrel that we saw for a few minutes in the cantina on Tatooine.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Mr. Susan, is that it? Anything else we got to cover?
That's all I got. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of Hey Mando, for watching it streamed live on Periscope, if you saw it there. For watching the recording on Outpost 23's YouTube channel, or listening to the audio-only feed in my podcast for Hey Mando. Thank you all. Please
Hey, speaking of which, on your podcast feed, did you know that you can add 2 hosts on the podcast?
Oh, you can?
You can. Just saying.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I obviously I didn't know if you knew it and were holding out, or if you didn't. You can actually show a second host there. So just yes.
I can fix that.
Yeah, I mean,
I did not know that you could do that. Nobody else will host anything with me because 1, I don't have friends, and 2, people can't put up with me, which is why I was breaking records with 3 downloads last week of this episode. So,
oh, you're funny.
Not to brag, I'm quickly gaining on double-digit download numbers for the month.
Oh, you're funny.
Jealous. No. But seriously, thank you everybody for listening. Please subscribe to Outpost 23 on YouTube. Follow Outpost. Actually, I'm saying this. You should say this stuff, Ryan. Ryan, where should they follow on social media? Sorry.
Well, obviously, after they download this podcast, give it 5 stars. Like, comment, tell Kyle why he's the greatest, because he is the greatest. And then, if you have a minute, visit Outpost 23 is the social media for Twitter, Instagram, just getting that fired up. So thank you, Kyle, for that.
If you have any questions about it, you could go to outpost23.net to find this and more from Ryan, or thetalkinggeek.com to find more from me. Yeah.
That's it. Bye, guys.
May the force be with you.